Welcome to Dorcas Fashion Academy. Today we shall be making a padded cosmetic bag. What you need is your fabric, your lining, batting. You can use two little ribbons. These are the ties that are going to be on either end, so you can either use ribbon, tape, or you can make them out of your own fabric. Bias binding to make sure that everything's nice and clean inside, and a zipper. So let's get going. Firstly, we need our piece of fabric. Our fabric with our batting. And what we're going to do is we're going to create lines vertically and horizontally, and we're going to sew over them with the batting. An easy way to do it is just to fold in half, press, fold in half again and press. And you can do this the other way around, except this bit is going to be folded in three, like this. So this is what I'm going to do now. Right, so I've pressed my fabric, centered it and halved, and then I did the same horizontally. What I'm going to do first is my 3 lines going down. I'm going to pin over the top with a few pins so that my batting doesn't move. And now I'm going to machine the 3 down and then the 5 across. So now this is your quilted fabric. You can do them smaller, you can do them larger. We've chosen the larger size for our beginner students. So now we're going to put the bag together. So I have trimmed off the excess wadding and threads, and now we're ready to put the bag together. With the zipper right sides facing right sides, we are going to pin right along the edge. This edge is the narrower edge, this is the longer edge. So we're going to do it on one of the narrower edges. And then we are going to pin the lining on top. This way when we sew, we're going to sew our wadding, our fabric, zip and lining together. You have to watch out for the zipper head because it's quite bulky, especially in this one. I've used a 5. So as you go along, you can move it so it doesn't interrupt in your sewing. I'm going to sew along this edge. More or less in the center of the zip. When we get to the zipper head, I prefer to open and take it to the end and then continue sewing without a problem. As you can see now, our zip is already on one side of the bag. So now we're going to do the same on the other side. So it's quite easy actually. We take the zip in the same manner as we took it before, and we position the zip right along the edge. As you've seen, it's like right sides with right sides. And then we take our lining, and instead of doing the usual thing which our brain would tell us, we bring it forward and we bring it on top of our zip. And in actual fact, it's the same as what we did before. And we're going to sew it in the same manner. I'm also going to take the zipper head out of the way so I can continue sewing without having a hiccup. So now we're going to turn it the right way round. At least so that you can see what's actually happening. See, because we've sewn the zip on the right side of the fabric and then we position the lining on top, this is now very neat and tidy. So we have to turn it back out to the wrong side. Because we're going to neaten these edges. Because this bag is wadded or padded, we cannot do the usual bagging out. So this is a bit different to our usual bags. I'm just doing a reverse where my ribbon is held. And obviously at the beginning and at the end of our seams, just to make sure that everything is held in place securely. And I'll do the same on this side as well. I'm inserting this ribbon where my zip is, and I want to make sure that these are all equal and tidy. And I'm going to sew across, and once that's done I'll do the same on the other side of the bag. Right, so our sides are done, and now what we're going to do is make them neat. We don't have to go right up to the edge because we're going to create corners. So even if we start just about half a centimeter from the edge, this is fine. because it's going to be inserted in the corner later. So my way of sewing the binding is opening up the edge and placing it where I want to sew. So we sew right smack on the fold of the binding. As you can see, this is nice and neat, and now we turn it around, and on this side is where we're going to top stitch it. This way, if we did it on the previous side, we might not catch the other side. So folding it in this manner, I'm going to top stitch very close to the edge. As you can see, this is lovely and neat, and even though the stitch has gone past slightly, on this side we have made sure that we've caught all the binding. So I'm going to repeat the operation on the other side, and I will continue without pinning. Okay, so this is our flat bag done, but now we need to create the corners. The corners are the opposite way. We have to flatten this out, and we're going to sew across. But first of all, I'm going to pin all the corners more or less, and then measure the distance and draw a line, and I'm going to top stitch just to secure the corner. So what I'm going to do is measure 4 centimeters across. On all the corners. So that the whole lot measures 8 across. Doesn't have to be super perfect, because with the wadding I don't think if you have 4.5 it would matter, but more or less to have a nice square corner. So first of all I'm going to top stitch this, because afterwards I want to put my binding on it, so it's best to secure the corners first. Remember, reverse at the beginning, at the end. And be careful when you're going over the binding here, because the needle might break. So this is our first corner done. I'm going to do all 4 and then I'll trim. So I'm going to cut or trim all our 4 corners. So now this is looking a bit like our bag. I don't want to turn it out yet, but I'm quite curious to see how it's looking. But I'm going to do the binding in the same manner as I did before. We'd like to fold the first bit here because this one is going to be visible. It's not like the other one that it was going to be cut. So I'm going to fold the first bit and the last bit so it's nice and tidy. Again, in the same manner, so where the fold is, turn it round, top stitch it. I will continue to do this in all the corners. So I've finished neatening all my corners and I'm ready to turn it around. And I really want to see how it looks. So I think the corners are quite good. And I'm going to put a little ribbon here just to make it that bit cuter, and it's easier to pull at the zip. So here's your bag. I hope that you like it and enjoy making it. Thank you.